Now this is row 5, and I'm going to close it normally, which is just a chain 1 and then pull through 2 and again. And you're going to end with 1 loop on your hook, and then you will do this row 1 more time, and then we will get to the cables. Okay, just to recap, what I've done here is a foundation row, 3 rows of front back post all the way across, then 2 rows of front back post on the edges, and then Tunisian knit stitch here in the center, and then again the front back post on the other edge, and I've closed it. So 2 rows of Tunisian knit stitch plain here with the edges. Now what I'm going to do is the cabling row. To pick up stitches for the cabling row, you're going to do the pickup in the same manner as the previous 2 rows you worked. So you just pick up stitches the same way. You start off with the edge here, and I must have missed a stitch. Hold on. That'll happen, especially with these front and back post stitches. They kind of get tricky. Front, back. Okay, front. And back. Wow. Okay. That stitch just did not want to be worked. Alright, and now I'm going to stitch across and knit stitch, just like before, but we're going to be crossing the cables on the closing. So just pick up loops the same exact way as you just did, and then stop when you have your loops on your hook. Okay, I have my 27 loops, and now I'm going to be closing. This is going to be a far different closing than the normal closing. Very, very much different. First thing you're going to do is close 6 stitches. That's only the edge stitches here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So chain 1 to close the first one, and then pull through 2 to close 6 total. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So you get to these knit stitches here for the stitch pattern. Now take this loop, pull up on it, and this is a time-consuming process, so don't think that you're moving slowly. Now what I like to use for my cables is a stitch holder like this, and I've tried many different things. You can use a crochet hook, a toothpick, a bobby pin, anything you like to hold your stitches, and you're only holding 2. You could even use, well, you could use one of these. Here, let me grab that. You could even put them on one of these. You're just holding them briefly. So what I do, I'm going to be using these 4 stitches here to make my first cable, and I'm going to place my stitch holder here under them, and I keep grabbing extra yarn. Okay, I'm going to put the stitch holder, no, it looks like I'm okay. I'm going to put the stitch holder under the 2. I think I've split it. Okay, put the stitch holder under 2 of them. And for a right leaning cross, you place this guy in the back. And this will make a right leaning cross. A note to left-handers, you're not doing it incorrectly. When you place this in the back, you're going to get a left leaning cross. Even though I'm going to say right leaning cross here and in the pattern, you're going to get a left. You're not doing anything incorrectly. Now just watch what I'm going to do here. I'm going to pinch the 4 stitches. I'm going to slowly remove my hook. Okay, that thing is in the back. Place the other 2 back on the loop, on the hook. Now take this. You're not going to twist the stitches, you're just going to place them back on the hook. Alright, remove the stitch marker, the cable stitch holder. Alright, now see how those stitches have crossed? They've crossed. Now if you are a lefty and you really, really want to follow the pattern, as with knitting patterns, what you're going to have to do is just reverse it in your head. But this is a symmetrical design, so it really doesn't matter if you have a right leaning cross or a left leaning cross. There are some cables that are extensive and do require, but this one doesn't. It doesn't really matter. You can follow these instructions and the text and be okay. Or you can change them, reverse them. Alright, so to close the cable, pull through 2 and pull through 2. Now chain 1, essential chain 1. This is what causes the cable to sit up, making puffs on the fabric. You need that chain 1. And then close the other 2. Alright, now you see how they're crossed here. And again, it's going to be a right-leaning cross for right-handers, but it's going to show as a left-leaning cross. And the 2 in the back are right back there, and then the chain here at the top. Alright, now remove the loop again. Take your cable stitch holder and place it under the second 2. This time, hold it in front of your work. Pull the loops off. You need to pinch them so that they don't get lost. Place those on your hook. Now take this guy and place those on your hook. Remove. Place the loop back on your hook. Okay, see they're crossed. All we did was just move them. We just moved them. You could even move them around with your fingers if you wanted. You don't have to use anything. But I just prefer this method, and I've tried several different methods of switching those loops around and holding them, and I really do like this cable stitch holder, but you don't have to use one. And chain 1. Now close the other 2. See, I've closed that one. And see, it's just 4 stitches for this cable. See, this one crossed its left, and it'll be right, leaning for lefties. Okay? See how that loop gets really loopy? When I first started doing this, I tried to pull up on these loops in the back and readjust, and that got really time consuming really quickly. So I didn't worry about it, and it does not matter in the overall appearance, so I just let it get loopy. Alright, so now we have right leaning then left leaning. So this time we're going to go back. So you go put it in the back and put it in the front. Put it in the back, put it in the front. Here, put under 2 and just plop it over. Pull them out. Put your hook back in. Now the stitch holder, bring it up, and we've done another cable crossing. Put the loop back on your hook, tighten it. Now close 2 of them. If you're using a really slippery yarn, these loops may just go right back where you don't want them to go. So pay close attention if you're using a slippery yarn. And then through the last 2. So we started off back, front, back. Now I'm going to do a front. Put this cable holder under there. This is the front, so just lay it on the front and pull the loops off the hook. Place 2 of them on there. Take the ones from the cable holder and place those. And put the loop back on the hook. And pull through 2 and 2 again. and then chain 1 and pull through 2 and again. And now, as you know, I've only done a stitch repeat of 16, of 8 for a total of 16. So now I can close my remaining stitches normally. So pull through 2 and again all the way across until you have 1 loop remaining. Okay, we've done our first cable crossing, and now we're going to do the row after the cable. Front post, just doing the edging now, 2, front, and back. So you see, here's the cable, and you see how they've crossed. So now we're going to be working in the back ones here. Do knit stitches here, and you can pull it apart so that you can see. Now that chain 1 is very handy for stretching it up and pulling it apart so that you can see where the stitches are. Now we're going to work in the front. Knit stitch and another knit stitch, and then we move on to the next one. Pull up on the chain. Just ignore the chain for stitching purposes. Think of it as a handle right over here where you can pull up. There we go. Pull up on the loops, and you see there's one here and another. Pull up on it, and you will be able to see the stitches back there. Again, if you can't see them, your yarn is either too soft or you need to work with a more relaxed tension. You may need another hook, a larger hook. Everybody stitches differently. It's as unique as handwriting, so you just have to find your tension. One, and then the other one. Again, ignore the chain. It's just there for a handle. It helps to separate and let the stitches cross. With Tunisian crochet, there's no bounce back from left to right horizontally. There's just no bounce back. So that chain works really well to allow the stitches to fit across the fabric and not scrunch it up so tightly that you can't see the stitch pattern. And one more. There we go. And now we've completed picking up those loops. So let's continue the row, and it's just edging now, front and back post all the way across to the last stitch. And if you have any problems with losing stitches here, when you're picking up the stitches, I like to count in my head personally. I do it a lot. And I just go 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4 until I get to the end. And then I don't lose them. So now we have completed the row after the cable crossing, and now we're going to close.